even though you might have been able to watch a lot of my YouTube videos, it's like all of a sudden now the same message that you probably heard me say to other people is connecting. Like, holy, okay, now I'm hearing it.
Yeah, it's totally different than just listening to other people's situations.
Yeah, so, how's it been since our consult? So this is our first session.
Yeah. So the first night I felt like angry after, just that I've been, that so much time has been wasted on this. And then I felt angry, like, that I'm going through this, like having to do therapy and pay the money for it. And it's so small compared to the freedom that I'm going to have.
I know. Well, and you can kind of tell because, well, the fact that you're seeing now the wasted life, time, energy, wasted intelligence, wasted emotional stability, the amount of waste, the fact that you can see that and you're angry about it is a good step in the right direction.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because you're what's the likelihood you're going to continue to do it?
Right. Oh, yeah.
So we can actually look at that anger as progress, even though anger is a lot of downsides too. If you stay in this place of anger, you're going to sit with this sense of regret and remorse, right? And what's the point of that regret and remorse and anger if it does nothing? What's it going to do? What's it going to do to make things different?
Yeah.
It's about your past. That's like mourning your past. What's grieving and being angry about the past going to do?
Right.
Now.
Yeah, nothing.
No, it's just wasting more energy. It's like devoting, it's like I'm in my anger, still devoting my energy to what I'm trying to move on from. It's like getting divorced and living in anger about the person you divorced for decades.
Yeah, so like taking poison and hoping the other person dies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's good to look at that anger and recognize that that's a good sign. You're moving forward, but that it needs to have closure. So how do you have closure with all of that wasted time and physical damage?
Yeah. That's what's kind of been hard the last few days too, just like really opening my eyes and seeing my body and realizing what the binging and all this dieting and everything has done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know,
that it's true, that it is true that there are physical consequences. There's no denying that. There's no denying. We're not going into denial. So many people think that's what I'm saying.
No.
Am I supposed to deny that it hurts and it's hard? Well, no, but you might want to deflate how inflated you're making it in terms of problems, because it's not as problematic as you've made it.
Yes,
and
exactly.
And even for the clients that I work with who are 300, 400 pounds, they have to reconcile that with themselves. This is very similar to, imagine that you, at a young age, get brainwashed into a religious cult and you leave your family, leave your career, leave education to go live in a cult. And you get pregnant because you're part of this cult system, and you have your kids and you raise your kids in this cult. And all of a sudden you realize that this cult is horrible, damaging, and you have to leave. Imagine how do they feel when they come back to reality in their 40s, knowing that they completely, the life that they created is not what they would have chosen if they could go back.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So how do you reconcile that? Is you have to forgive yourself.
Yeah.
You accept, this is what happened. These are my children. I don't have an education. I'm living in a women's shelter. You kind of have to reconcile that I made a mistake and and I didn't know it until I knew it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because you don't really
It's not like you knew what you were doing.
Because who would do it if you knew ahead of time?
Right. Exactly. It's kind of like, so why be angry at yourself? I mean, the only reason to be angry at yourself is if you kind of knew what you were doing and you did it anyways.
Right.
But Robin, I should have known better. Well, that's narcissistic to say. As if you're supposed to have this knowledge before doing and having the experience that creates the knowledge.
Yeah. Wow.
I know it's funny when you hear it. I should know better. Holy shit! You might want to deflate.
Yeah.
Yourself.
Like I'm God or something, and I should know all. And
I should know better. That one always, it's kind of fun. It's funny. It's like, oh, you need a little prick in that inflated sense of who you think you are.
Wow, yeah.
You had all of the natural consequences and suffered greatly and still didn't know better.
Yeah. Yeah, because then, you get the indoctrination where you feel like what the cult is telling you, it's because of what you're eating or your body is bad.
God,
or
and you truly believe it.
Wow.
And you truly believe it. And so you just run in circles doing what they're telling you to do for this image, this kind of like godly image you're supposed to be worshiping. It's supposed to be like the gatekeeper to heaven. You believe that, and you believe this system as if they're an authority over you. Like they know, like this blogger who's like super smart knows how to reach heaven with her detox.
Yeah.
And you don't question the integrity behind it or question their sanity. Maybe they're suffering. You never question, you just assume, right? When you follow some blogger's detox, you assume they are healthy and happy and they don't have obsessive compulsive problems and they don't suffer from depression and that they don't have binge eating closet issues that they don't want to tell you because they're trying to sell their detox. You just don't question it.
Yeah.
Right? And you buy it. So you buy it totally innocently. Do you see the innocence in everything that you've done so far?
Wow.
Yeah. So why be angry? It's like, what? Why maintain anger like you lost something? Well, you actually didn't. It kind of took all that suffering for you to wash your hands of it. You kind of needed to get pretty bad to let it go.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's what it takes for people to leave a cult. They have to be damaged enough and continually damaging themselves, and they have to connect the dots between what they're being told to do and what is being and the damage being caused to be able to finally get to a place to open your mind to question the authority.
Right. Wow. Because if it doesn't hurt, why would you leave? Yeah.
Right. Well, and once someone, the studies of Stockholm Syndrome done with this type of cult mentality is when the person with the syndrome, person holding themselves to damaging, abusive behavior and self-abusing, when they do that, the only reason they do that is because they believe that it is beneficial. They believe the benefits, and they never question the authority telling them that it's beneficial, even though, so you take the authority and put it on a pedestal as if it is supreme or it's sacred. So this would be indoctrination, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you look at it, what the definition of being indoctrinated is it's a supreme system or belief that it's like you put it on a godlike level of credibility. And you position yourself inferior to it. And that's why you listen and do it. Even though the evidence, so your focus when you do that isn't on what's happening in reality. Your focus is actually fixated on what they're selling it for. Like, this is what you'll get when you do these things.
Wow.
when you marry 10 women, when you have sex with the 12-year-old, when your 12-year-old daughter has a child with this 50-year-old man, I mean, I'm using an extreme case.
Yeah.
They're not looking at that reality. They're looking at this fantasy. God will love and accept you. Your creator requires that you prostitute your 12-year-old to a pedophile.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it's easy for us to see that route, right? Like, clearly that's messed up. Oh, sure. But you never questioned the isolation, the dieting, the degree of starvation, the type of torture chambers that you've put yourself into for exercise, the level of obsessive compulsiveness, the fear mongering and what you shouldn't be eating. Oh my God, you're going to die. Never.
Yeah.
You never question that because you internalize the golden statue of thin supremacy and health righteousness as superior, godlike. It is the portal to happiness.
Yeah. Wow.
So can you see why it would be so hard to let it go then? Because if you believe that the thinner body is the portal to existence and life and freedom, why, when you're told, hey, look at what you're doing and everything you're doing, chasing that portal, right? Look at what's happened. So let's put the fantasy on the other side of that in your head. Let's black it out for a moment. Look at what you're doing.
Yeah.
Is this okay? You know, should anybody have to go to this level of need and work and extremism just to feel acceptable?
No.
It's inhumane.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
You know, I grew up in religious type of dogma, and, you know, their expectations were different, right? No drinking, no drug use, no sex before marriage, paying your tithing, listening to pure, clean music. You could look at all that and go, what's wrong with all that? Right?
Right.
How could that be wrong? The difference is when you are separated from reality. So your reality and the reality of the culture you're in is, you know, or what we call normal. When you're separated from normalcy, you lose your discernment of living in reality. When you're removed from reality, there is a lack of reality or ability to discern reality that happens. So if I was, you could say, back in the 1900s, I wouldn't have had mental health problems because it probably matched reality.
Oh, yeah, right.
Makes sense?
Yeah, it just clicked right there.
Good. That's why it's a problem, because there's no grace or lenience with reality. So you end up having this being programmed. You're being programmed.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Instead of adaptable. So the problem is there's no adaptability for you in your thin supremacy program.
Right.
And to be lenient means you have to be willing to be judged and rejected and abandoned and disapproved of and seen as inferior by people in that religion. Right? Because I think it's important to recognize, I had a consult this morning, and I had mentioned this to this woman, that the diet industry, they promote themselves as just they're helping you. Right? I'm just helping her, right? You see them as a service.
Yeah.
When in reality, they are the authority. They are the superior beings of people telling you what to do. So it's actually a diet, a covert religion, if you want to call it that.
Wow.
I know, no one sees it because they don't claim, I'm a religion. We are religionists around thin godliness.
Yeah, that, I was looking at Instagram this morning, and one of the girls that I follow on there, she posted a picture of herself, and she says, I'm so glad I'm at a healthy weight so that I can dress up to go to my husband's meeting or whatever. And I felt that made me have that feeling again, like, oh, well, I'm not at a healthy weight,
Well, do you know what? So do you see how covert that is?
Yes.
Yeah, because what she's actually saying is, I'm so glad I feel better about the body I'm in because it represents this thin superior idea that I'm promoting when I go out in public, because I'm so safe in my thin supremacy and I feel better about who I am. And she's promoting it as a healthy weight.
Yeah. And she's also a preacher that I listen to, so it almost, it's wow.
Well, this is again, who cares if she's a preacher? This is a programmed system. So she's programmed, and she probably
even the teacher that's supposed to,
Oh, don't. Well, this is, I think, really important for you to connect with as we observe this together. As dogma comes from people we give supreme authority.
Yeah.
And we give them credibility without really understanding what's their integrity. What are they doing this for? What are they trying to promote? What do they get from this promotion?
Yeah.
Is it really, are they really there to serve the greater good, or are they really there serving themselves through the cloak of greater good? And it's hard to have that discernment when you yourself are seeking help from people who are authoritarian.
Yeah.
Follow these rules, and it will work for you. There's no personal adaptation to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
You have to really.
And that just
go ahead.
Sets you up. Wow.
Yeah, because you're not independent. It's the thing with I'm going to call it the thin righteous religion. Okay. Is you're essentially, it's an illusion that it is a personal control. So often, we're all raised to assimilate into our culture. For the most part, we are raised to assimilate. I was raised to assimilate to the religious culture, right? Not reality, but a religious culture.
Yeah.
So, and because it was with my family, and I love my family, and I honor my parents, and I believe them, it was like, that's just what you do, right? That's what all children do. We all do that. No child is born going, I am not going to listen to my parents. You know what I mean? It's very, very rare that a child that goes, they're a little whack job. They got some problems. Because we don't know what that is until we have it ourselves and recover and then go, holy shit, there's problems there, So you naively assimilate or program yourself. And then when people find those original programs are failing, they're not working, I don't want to do it anymore, the work is too much. So when I left religion, I naturally wanted to find something that I felt was autonomous or independent. And I gravitated to body image. Because there was an illusion that it was my program. It's my program. It wasn't, because it's covert, right? It's a covert program. The illusion is that you're doing it for yourself. So it's very attractive to people who are seeking some autonomy in their programming. It's still programming.
Yeah.
It's just an illusion of, well, I can control something rather than me being manipulated and controlled. I am the manipulator and controller, right? And that's what they're selling. It's you that's going to take control, and it's your body you're going to damage, right? Instead of you being damaged by the program, you're going to damage your body. with the illusion that it's going to benefit you. So instead of seeking God through religion, you're seeking God through body image. So often it's called reality or freedom, right? You're seeking freedom through religion. You're seeking freedom. You're seeking enlightenment. You're seeking a feeling of peace and calm, right? You're feeling it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we could call it. What are you seeking through God? You're seeking love, compassion. You're seeking these human qualities that really require we feel inherently safe as humans. So we can find that safety through religion, politics. People do it through all sorts of things that we symbolize, right? As sacred, right?
Right.
So it's predictable that someone goes from being mind controlled to wanting to be that controller to protect themselves. So that's a common transfer is from indoctrinated religion to indoctrinated body image, with the fantasy or illusion that you think you're in control, when in reality, you just made a lateral move to an industry that's covert and telling you what body you should be choosing. They're literally telling you which body is better, and they're telling you which diet is better, and there's so much of it that they're competing with each other. So you're going to go to the religion of CrossFit, you're going to go to the religion of paleo, you're going to do vegan. Which religion, of body righteousness are you going, which one? And they all say, I know the answers. We can get you to the portal of heaven, which is the same feeling of I'll be lovable and I could be free and I'll feel content with who I am. And, that sense of security as a human in our tribe.
Yeah.
And you don't recognize it. And that's really where it's like the wolf in sheep's clothing, is that, at least with religion, you understand the edges and boundaries of it. And and I have to say on a side note, I am not saying that all religion is bad.
Right.
Okay, it serves a fabulous purpose. It has done a lot of good in man's history, right? In the history of human beings. But there are significant downsides when this type of psychological approach is added to it. When narcissism is added to religion, it is the most destructive, demonic catastrophe, right? Think of all the wars that have been created over religion, Right. So there's upsides, big time. But when added with this type of psychology, it's incredibly destructive, right?
Yeah.
And so you could say the same thing exists with dieting. It's like, looking at the body, it's not like people who are thinner are all bad people, right? That's not what, it's this approach to it that I can find access to being lovable based on a dogmatic system that is telling you how to look and what to do.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Right? So here I am preaching, accept the body you have, accept the pain and the damages you've done. But on the other hand, I'm suggesting the HCG protocol. Can you see why?
Wow.
Do you see why then I would be okay with that? At the same time saying you've got to detach from body image. This is not your portal to happiness. The HCG protocol is not your portal to thinness for happiness.
Right.
That's the HCG diet. Right? That's the HCG diet religion. Which many people have had stints with, right?
Yeah.
I was in that cult for a while, and I had to get out because it damaged me. Yes, it will. So how do you get out of it, right? So how do you get out of this religious cult that would never claim religious cult, but can you see it that way? Do you see it?
Yeah, I can see it. And I feel like it has like tentacles that reach in here and there.
Well, because you joined it because you believed it would serve you. Yeah. And that's those tentacles. Well, it will do this for me. Well, so you pick and choose what you want out of it.
Yeah.
I love that you use the word tentacles because that's totally how I see it too. It's like these chains. I've got a chain here. I've got a chain at my ankle. You know, I have chains still attached. And I don't want them removed yet. I don't want to remove those chains. Because I still hope that portal will exist for me.
Oh, gosh.
That when my body looks the way I imagine it to look, that so you've created, it's called attachment. You've created survival attachments. And that's what that is. That's why it's so hard to let go of, is because once you attach survival to these images, the downside is that it feels like death. Because your brain, the survival area of the brain, responds in threatening type of neurochemicals. Wow. Fear gets engaged, you know, because your brain doesn't know that you're dumb. It doesn't. It thinks you're so. Yeah. If you think something is safe and credible, it does too. So when you imagine that thinner body, your brain is sending off narcotic neurochemicals. It's safe. It's safe. Do it. Do it. Do it. So, you know, if there's anything, if we want to call it an addiction, you're addicted to the self-inflation, the inflated idea of who you think you will be when you're thinner.
Oh, yeah.
And that is ultimately another way of saying survival. It's a portal to the life of people who survive.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that because when I had that thought, when I was looking at the girl on Instagram today, and I was like, hi.
Oh, yeah. And that's what happened.
You feel high. Like, I could just do this now.
Oh, and it feels warm and gooey and ooey and loving, and it's like, I can reach that, and that's what you're pursuing. So those are the tentacles.
Wow.
You know.
Oh, let go.
Well, you have to. So the issue is that it's not necessarily the image. Well, obviously the image of that thinner body that you believe is reachable. So there's a few issues. You believe the image in your mind is reachable. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's a problem.
Okay.
Because if you realized it was not reachable, how hard would this be?
It would be done.
It's so easy. It's like, why would you hold yourself to some magical standard that does not exist?
Okay.
It'd be like, bing, it's over. Problem is, you believe it's reachable. If you believe it. Oh, I know I can do it. Mm-hmm. It's right there. She can do it. It's so easy.
Yeah, just this one program.
And being at your healthy weight when you're in public is so magical.
Oh my gosh.
It's so amazing. Like your life is so much better than people who are not at their healthy weight. Oh, those poor people. They're just, you know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah.
Okay. So there's that. You believe it is reachable. So that's why it's still hard. The next thing is, what you think is reachable does not include the torture chamber that comes with it.
Right.
So
yeah,
that's the other thing. Well, the only way to get there is to be in a torture chamber.
Oh my gosh.
Right? That's the only reason why you submit yourself to torture. Who would do this shit? If they're, you know what I'm saying? Who would voluntarily do what the diet industry suggests if there wasn't some magic on the other side that was equal to the torture?
Wow. Yep.
Right? So the second problem is that you're not including the torture chamber.
Yeah.
So what happens if you get there, when you get there? It's reachable, 1. 2, you're willing to be tortured to get there. Okay? 3, does you think that the torture chamber goes away when you get there? Kind of like destination. Like, when I go through that portal, I get to a different side, and the torture chamber doesn't exist for people on the other side. It only exists for fat people.
Yeah, that's the fantasy, but wow.
So, but let's go into your that's reality.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's never ending. Because once you get to that thinnerness, what happens if you stop torturing yourself?
Then you just go right back. Because that's where I've been 50 times.
Right? So you need to come to grips with that.
Yeah.
Like, it needs to be realized. Not just, I just want to be in denial about that. No, realize it. Realization means that it becomes real. You've been living in that realization. You just have been in denial about it. Oh, this is where I'm the bearer of bad news for you. The torture chamber does not go away.
Yeah.
So if you want to reach the body that you think is a portal to that space of freedom, that's fine. But do not omit the torture chamber. You're just setting yourself up for really feeling like shit because you're confused. You thought it was going to be free, but you know what I'm saying? So it's actually a better step if you refuse to get rid of the thinner ideology to just accept the torture chamber.
Yeah, if I then I just have to choose to be tortured for the rest of my life.
Yes.
Or torture myself. Yeah.
Well, do you see how that's a better situation than what you came to me with?
Yeah.
At least you're acknowledging and accepting. It's like being in a terrible marriage.
Yeah.
Stop expecting it to change. If you choose to stay with a cheater, at some point you have to accept that he's going to cheat, and you accept it, and there's actually resolution there. Because you stop being tortured by the paranoia that he's going to cheat on you.
Right.
You just accept it. And then the marriage takes on a different role. It takes on more of a legal role than it does a heart-focused role.
Yeah.
I don't judge that outcome. It's like, if you need to be that thin, accept the torture and accept the psychological cost. Because if you believe that, let's just say, going to your husband's party at a healthy weight is that miraculous, then there is a balancing point. There's a point of balance where it actually can feel tolerable.
Wow.
It's when your expectations are out of fucking reality is when things get mentally dramatic.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to think. There was like this thing I was trying to get through to you. It was like, first, do you believe it's reachable?
And then the torture chamber.
Then you
get there.
You need to make sure you include the torture chamber.
Yeah. And then forever.
I know. Well, you know that. You know that now. It's not me just saying, hey, memorize this. You're going, oh yeah, no, that's exactly what I will have. So the next thing you have to question then is, if you do add the torture chamber to the thinner body, is that freedom, does it even exist?
No.
Well, because you lose your freedom to fixate on what you have to do to keep the thinnerness.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow. And that's not the life I want.
And then the question is, you have to look at, you go back to number 1. Is this reachable?
No.
So the next step would be lower the standard.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Right? So let's go into lowering the standard. You're not going to be that thin.
Yeah.
Okay, there's benefits to lowering the standard, right? Doesn't that, it kind of
Yeah.
removes some of the damaging tools in your torture chamber.
Yeah.
Right? But the risk or the cost to that is you're no longer going to be superior. Again, that superiority is where you feel the portal of freedom exists. I have to be superior to be free. I want people to validate me, and I'm not going to get validation. So you start to look at the cost of lowering the standard.
Wow, yeah.
So when I work with anorexics, the first thing we do is focus on, you're never going to be the ideal. You just focus on staying where you're at. Right?
Yeah.
There's a huge amount of benefit to that step. What do you think happens to people's binge eating when we remove the pressure to be thinner than they are?
It stops.
Yeah, it does. It's amazing. It's an amazing shift. Just that step. That's not the whole thing. That's just part of it.
That's kind of how I felt the last few days, too, after I got past the first night. Then the last, what has it been, like a day and a half or 2 days? I haven't really had, like, you know, the fantasy of what I'm going to eat next, or, you know, it's just like, whatever, okay, I'm hungry, then I'm just going to have a sandwich, and then I don't finish the whole thing because I don't know, it felt kind of like the urge just went away, but then here and there, I'm taking it back up, like, you know, with the picture I saw this morning, and then my husband talking about how he wants to start eating healthy next week, and, you know, so I'm still taking it back up, but I've had, in the last couple of days, a glimpse of the freedom, you know?
Yeah, because you no longer are an indentured servant to the same intensity. You might still be an indentured servant, it's just to a lesser degree.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you went from the bottom of hell to the center of hell.
Yeah.
Hey, it's better. It's still hell.
Yeah.
But it's better. So there's so if anything, what is this? We're going in a specific direction. Can you see? Yeah. Can you see where this goes from here? The more freedom you want, which direction do you have to keep on going?
Out of hell.
Well, with your body image, right? Remember, your religion is through that thin dogma, right? The thin indoctrination, thinner heaven, thinner supremacy is the portal to life and happiness and freedom, right? That's why people work so hard, because that's what they think. They are willing to torture themselves for years thinking that, but yet never ever reaching it, even though you've been to the physical, you've been to that place physically, and you get there and it's dry. The well is fucking dry.
Yeah.
I know. So by saying that's not even reachable anymore, it's relieving. It's like, Jesus, thank God I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to do that anymore because it's not worth it. The well is dry and the torture chamber is massive.
Sorry, just 1 moment.
It's okay.
Go ahead, baby. The light is on for you. Okay, go ahead. Just call mommy. My babysitter, well, I didn't end up with a babysitter today, so the babysitter is the television at the moment.
Hey, I know that babysitter real well. My kids are older now, so I'm fortunate to not have to be, managing all of that. It's easier, but you manage different things when they're older. So let's start with, what if you were just to stay this way permanently?
Yeah.
So you adjust from better than you are to what you are.
Yeah, I think I could live with it. the last few days have been great with my son. I've played more with him than I probably have in a really long time. And I don't feel like, I'm going to die. I'm really big. I weigh 336 pounds right now. So it can be uncomfortable, but it's not like I'm bedridden or I can't get off the couch.
Well, you can catastrophize.
My mind is lost in the fantasy,
Well, let me tell you, I have had clients who are in their 280 range who think that it is catastrophic.
Yeah.
Right? You're hearing that going, really? It's all relative.
Yeah.
I have anorexics who think gaining 10 pounds is worthy of suicide.
Right.
So emotionally they're catastrophizing it as much as you are. In fact, you could say it's worse for them.
Yeah.
Because their delusions around it are worse than it actually is. Now, I am not diminishing the reality of the heart, that it is harder, but it's not. Why catastrophize it and inflate it to be worse than it really is? That just makes you feel worse about it. You go into a panic. As if your body is your biggest threat to life. The body giving you life, it's threatening your life.
Yeah.
Do you hear how that works?
Yeah.
Body supporting your life, providing you consciousness, doing it actively, doing it currently, doing it on a daily basis is threatening your life.
Oh my gosh.
You have been brainwashed.
Wow.
We have to change it.
Yeah.
Never looking at what they're telling you to do to change it as the source of the conditions that promote what your body's doing right now. Anyway, so imagine, really, really go here with me. I mean, you paid me to tell you to do this, so you need to freaking do it. You are going to be, let's just say, 350 pounds permanently. Forever. This is the cost to get out of hell.
Wow. Okay.
Would you pay the dues if it meant that you're getting free access through that portal now? You don't have to be thinner. You don't have to do anything. You are about to get a brand new life because you are set free from hell. You're only in hell. You're in purgatory, right? Because you think you're going to get something out of it. That's the only reason why you came down here, right?
Yeah.
So if you want out, you have to accept the cost, which is the opposite of what you went down there for. So if you were given, you are granted freedom into the space of freedom that you were chasing anyways, but it requires that you accept the cost of 350 pound body providing you life. It is providing you life. You are not allowed to take it for granted ever again. So essentially what you're accepting is 350 pound body as it is so that you don't have to fix it.
Yeah.
Just think about that. Just really internalize this for a second. If I accept 350 pounds, that means I don't ever have to fix it. I won't have to worry about it. It is no longer my job. I am free from this being my job. I no longer have these shackles. Because if I can accept 350 pounds, what that means is I no longer hold the delusion of something less than that as important. It's not important anymore.
Wow. Yeah.
So how does that translate for you in terms of how does that feel?
I feel like I'm on the edge of it.
Well, I'm going to keep my mouth shut then because I want you to process it. I feel like maybe if I continue to talk, I'm pulling you out of it. I'm just going to let you sit with this thought for a second.
You know, just 1 minute now, my baby is calling me. I just need to help him out for 1 second.
No problem.
Let me go back to that. Just, I'm going to mute for a moment.
Okay, so going back to what kind of where we left you off. Imagine if you have, there's another example I used with this consult that I did this morning with this woman is, what if this is your repayment for some past life karma?
Like staying at this.
Yeah.
Kind of,
like you had to suffer this bad. Like this was your commitment to hell. And you served it. You served it.
Yeah.
And you did what you suffered equally. Right? And so you're getting permission. And I am maybe that messenger to say, you did it. You can leave now. You just have to be okay with the 350 pounds that is part of the karma. But you get the spiritual and the psychological, and you get the awakening of a reincarnation. You don't have to die to do it. You have this body is willing to serve you until it is done. So you have the rest of this life to now promote what you really are inside. No different than the promotion of who your child is inside. You are now at that point of restart.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Your body is no longer your sentence. You're good. It'll fix it. It'll do whatever it's going to do on its own. All you need to worry about is now moving forward with your wisdom and using your heart as your guide now. You no longer have to use your terrible karma that you have to repay. Right? Like your punishment has been served. You served it. Right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah,
you've been trying to remove your punishment. And that's why you can't exit. So the moment you say, I'm willing to be 350 pounds, that's like saying, I am willing to serve that karma. And I don't have to suffer anymore. Because I accept that.
Goodness.
Isn't it silly? It's kind of amazing. Can you tell that it is right there?
Yeah.
Right there. All you got to do is say, I agree. Let's practice it. If you say, I agree, what will your life be like if you're 350 pounds? Before you make this sign on the dotted line, what will your life be like?
Like on every day or?
Every day, yeah. What's everyday life going to be like once you accept this as the cost?
Well, I can stop feeling miserable and depressed that I'm not at some ideal weight or, I'm not having to suffer that way or worry about what people think about me or...
How would you feel about the body knowing that you're willing to accept it this way?
Grateful.
Right, because you're getting freedom out of it. You're getting freedom. So it changes how you relate to the body, don't you agree?
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is you're saying, well, what do I need from this body then? What is it that I really, really need from it? To be free.
Yeah.
To be free.
Yeah, to be free, to just be me and let it do what it does.
Yeah, like to let your soul out of the cage.
Yeah.
Because it's been in a cage as you have served hell. All you got to do at this point is accept the 350 pounds and inhabit the body. That's it. The soul now can be brought forward. So you have to really look at what type of condition do I need from the body? What do I really need? What type of condition do I need as a soul to exist in this lifetime? And to exist in this body? What do I really need as a soul from this body for the rest of its life?
Just for it to keep me alive.
Right? That's how I feel too. I'm like, I just need consciousness. I don't need it to look a certain way. What does that do? That's an illusion of it doing something for me.
Yeah. Wow. That's for that would be for the outside, for other people.
Yes. And what's that really doing? I mean, you end up serving the people. As if you're supposed to be pleasurable to look at for them, for you.
Wow.
To feel good?
Yeah.
You're a slave for that. So that's kind of cool to know that it doesn't even matter what people think. They can think you're ugly or beautiful and it doesn't fucking matter. Because that's not your purpose anymore. You left that part of hell.
Wow.
I mean, think about it. Wouldn't you rather have someone reject you because you're not attractive enough? I mean, just go into what that feels like and then compare it to what you've been living in. If I'm 350 pounds and people judge and reject me, feel that and compare it to hell.
Yeah.
Which one would you rather have?
The rejection.
Right, because it's temporary. It's just that moment they say you suck and you go, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
And then they move on. And you're no longer going, oh my God, I have to prove myself.
Oh my God.
You live in hell while they periodically see you and judge you. So you live in hell so that someone can see you and go, wow, look at her. She's great. So they have a moment they think you're great, but yet you have to live in hell.
Yeah.
For that moment so that they feel that way. Because you never really feel that way about yourself. You're doing it so that someone else, even some random strangers,
Oh my gosh. That's just, wow, that statement right there is huge too.
Mm-hmm. It was for me
feel that
too.
Way about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about. Wow.
Think of all the shit you have sacrificed so that other people can have fleeting moments of thinking you're approvable. The amount of shit that I've done. Like, when I was younger, I had sex with someone. For that reason. So I raped myself in those moments so that they would feel comfortable with me. Not me comfortable with me. I want them to feel comfortable with me because then if they feel comfortable with me, then I'm comfortable. So when they're comfortable, I'm comfortable. So I have to do whatever they tell me to do. I have to listen to the music they want me to listen to. I have to think the way they want me to. I have to believe the beliefs they want me to. I have to be completely a slave to whatever they need to like me for me to feel good with me.
Oh my God. That's just been my whole world.
Yeah, so you're a slave to whatever you in fear of people's opinion. The negative ones, right? And so go into what that feels like to be negatively judged. You suck. Which one's worse? Living a lifetime of slavery in a dark, demonic cage of hell for fleeting moments of feeling safe?
Wow.
So the whole point of the whole point of this is to say, well, in order to get out, you have to accept 350 pounds. You're essentially accepting that people aren't going to understand it.
Yeah.
They're going to think you're lazy. They're going to think you didn't want it enough.
Like I just gave up. Yeah.
Right? She's a quitter.
Yeah. That's what my husband thinks when I tried to explain this to him like a couple months ago.
You're quitting. Well, I'm quitting running it's a mirage. I'm quitting. Yes, I am quitting.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? If what I'm doing is causing significant psychological harm and physical consequences and behavioral issues with food, and look at the layers of damage this is causing, right?
Yeah.
Should I keep on going?
No.
Well,
Wow.
The only person who really can understand this decision is you. Your husband isn't. How do you explain this to him?
Yeah. Right.
It's kind of like, well, should you have to explain this to him to get his approval to make sure you're doing what's right for you so that it's right for him first?
Yeah. Yeah. Because, oh my gosh, that just made me so mad. Like, yeah, because then once again, I'd be working just for his approval or his satisfaction or whatever.
Yeah,
for a moment.
So if he really loves you, you have to honor that if he really could grasp this, that he would support you quitting.
Yeah. Yep.
And you kind of just have to do that without his permission, because often people just don't get it. It was like me leaving my parents' religion. I knew they wouldn't grasp what I was going through.
Yeah.
And I also knew that the suicide was more detrimental. So I saved them from that type of grief by quietly removing myself.
Yes. That just, oh my gosh, yes.
Right? So you see what I mean by just sign the goddamn contract and leave with 350 pounds. Let it be everybody else's problem.
Oh my gosh.
Because what do you really need from the body? It's alive. You're conscious. You just experienced the most adorable little thing with your child, right? Then.
Yeah.
Like, what do you need? Is thinnerness going to make that experience better?
No.
Right? What a freaking... Ugh. No.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because I even considered, suicide over this, and that poor little guy would have such a hard time dealing with that,
Because
awful thing.
No one really understands it. It takes someone like myself to go, yeah, I understand suicide, and I don't think it's always a bad thing.
Yeah.
If you're in that type of torture and you cannot get out, it's like it's understandable why people do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would be selfish to tell someone to stay here and continue to suffer. So why can't you just do it for yourself in a different way? Commit suicide to the thin supremacy.
Yeah.
That needs to die because that's the only reason why you're suffering. So if you want to relieve the suffering, just accept your body as it is.
Yeah.
And start. Yeah. And so you come out of hell, you go through that portal into freedom because you are willing to exist. That soul is willing to exist in a fat body and to take all of the ignorant shame and judgment. And you have served your past karma. It's over. I wish I had a certificate. I could bring a certificate that said, Jennifer fully and completely served the demonic depths of hell and suffering because of this previous life where she made fun of a leper.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, and I have notes right here, so I'm signing online.
I permanently accept a body. Body that is disfigured, that is diseased, that is judged, in exchange for my soul's freedom to exist and to experience the love and the grace of life.
Wow.
And you are now unshackled There is no bad food. There is no you've done something wrong. There is no need to be superior in any way. You don't have to prove yourself anymore. You have served your karma.
That's strange. I just feel like I could breathe. That's beautiful.
Right? It's hard to describe. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
It's just hard to describe. It's like, why would you go back? Why would you go back there? For what?
Wow.
It's just like, what? It's hard to go back once you come out of it. It's like,
yeah.
Why would you do that? It is such an illusion.
Now I just have to learn a new life.
Well, really, it's just about learning to be truthful. It's like, learn to be who you really are.
Yeah.
In reality. So you're in reality, right? But thank God you're an older person. You're not newborn, right? So you get to restart from the soul. So you don't have to prove yourself anymore. You can use the grace of your soul to now create your life. Now we're doing it in reality. You're doing it in reality, right? You're not doing it to perform for an alternative reality of perfectionism anymore. So you get to exist in your reality just like your son gets to have those fish.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
It's like, should he be ashamed of himself for that? Should he be afraid that he's going to be fat?
No.
Right. Doesn't that just seem horrible? Like, what the? Yeah. Who would do that? Is eating Swedish fish really worthy of the darkest demonic level of hell?
No.
Can you imagine that that's what you've been doing to yourself? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's been terrible.
Yeah, there's no reason. Even at 350 pounds. Now, why do you think I keep on going to 350 pounds?
Because I could go up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
giving you tons of grace.
Go.
We are giving your body grace. Like, it can be what it's going to be. So let's go higher than you are. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
If it's alive. Now, this is not encouraging you to binge, is it?
No.
Don't you agree? Doesn't that kind of go away when you get rid of the torture chamber? Because binging was your self-coping mechanism. That was your way to cope for the torture chamber.
Yeah.
So if there's no torture chamber, would you still behave that way?
No.
Food isn't all that big of a deal.
No.
It is
that's what I felt the last few days.
But it's only a big deal if you have to starve yourself in the torture chamber.
Yeah.
No, it's a big deal, right?
And it's just everything when you have to go there.
What's the point? Yeah. What's the point if you never, ever again have any shame or guilt? There's no badness with 350 pounds. There's nothing wrong with it. It is a perfectly good body doing its job for you moving forward. Why do we need to fix it? The damages were done because you had to serve some terrible karma from your past. We want to think of it that way.
Yeah.
This was it. This was your contract. You can either accept the contract or you can keep on fighting it. Which one would you rather?
Accept the contract.
Me too. I, in my contract, accepted up to 500 pounds.
Yeah.
That's how bad my misery was.
Yeah, I think I might need to go into that too.
Yeah, because to me, it was like, if I give my body the grace of being whatever it is, to where I don't have to look at it as a soul anymore, then I have to be okay with whatever it's going to be. Whether it's 500 pounds, if I get in a car wreck and become a paraplegic, if I lose my eyesight, what if I get cancer and die of disease? I'm basically saying I accept this body and the course of its life.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put it intentionally in harm's danger, you know?
Right.
But
yeah.
Do you see what I mean? But whatever it is, I in order for me to inhabit it, I have to accept whatever that is, that it will be completed as it's completed, and that's none of my business. And the benefit that it isn't my business is that I get to focus on my soul and the heart. I can focus on the integrity of my existence, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like you know? So I had to, in the contract, right, that I wrote, or that I signed, it was, I accept death in any form. So that I can take advantage of life as it is.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Because then that just like takes the fear out of everything.
Because you accept it ahead of time.
Yeah. And then you can just be free. Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it's better than the torment of hell that you've been living in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, we need to schedule our next session.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Well, hopefully this is starting to resonate.